How can you get people to come back to your blog over and over again? How can you capture the attention of new site visitors and get them to return? That's what we'll be discussing in today's episode of the Blog-Centric Podcast. Welcome to Spiderworking's Blog-Centric Podcast, a podcast about blogging. Hello and welcome to episode 63 of the Blog-Centric Podcast. I'm Amanda Webb and you'll find the show notes for today at spiderworking.com/63. Repeat visitors are the best. The more someone visits your site, the more they trust you, the more likely they are to buy. But how can we get them to keep coming back to our site? You'll know this situation. You've been browsing the internet and you find the best site, the best blog. It's either fun to read or it's packed with great information, or maybe it's just interesting. So you think to yourself, I want to come back here. You say the name of the site over and over to yourself so you'll remember to check it out again. You might even follow their Facebook page or their Twitter account while you're there. A couple of months passes. You remember the site, but you just can't remember what it was called. You have a quick scroll through Facebook, but there's no sign of any updates that look familiar to you. You do the same on Twitter, but you follow a lot of people on Twitter, and even though you click on a few that you thought might be it, none of them are. You lost the site. You'll feel a pang of regret. You'll chastise yourself for not having a good enough memory to remember where you were going to, and then you'll move on. That's a true story. It's not just you, it's not just me that has that problem. It's your readers. You're creating great content. You're attracting the right people, your ideal reader, your ideal customer. They love what you do, but you could be losing them after one visit. Today, I'm going to give you a quick overview of how you can get started using email marketing to promote your blog. It's a huge topic, and I'm sure it's one we're going to come back to. You're listening to Blog-Centric from Spiderworking. I asked my small business bloggers Facebook group how they chose to subscribe to blogs. I've always been a big RSS reader fan, so I used Feedly to subscribe, but I was surprised I was in a minority. Most members of the group subscribe by email. Now, granted, it's a small enough group, a small enough sample, but it definitely warrants some more thought. Now, I don't subscribe to many blogs by email, but there are a few that I subscribe to that I read every time they drop into my inbox. If you're going to start an email list for your blog, you should subscribe to some others first. And look specifically for blogs that share your target market, because this is going to give you a taste of what's working for them and what isn't. So, are they sending emails each time they blog, or do you get a weekly or a monthly digest from them? Do their emails land in your inbox if you're using Gmail, or are they filtered out either into the promo tab or worse, the spam tab? Do you actually read the posts that come in, or do you give them a cursory glance and think about reading them later, or do you go and put them in a folder to read later? Once you've reviewed a few emails from other people, it's time to think about your own. You're going to need three things. You're going to need an email marketing software provider. You're going to need a way to encourage people to subscribe, and you're going to need a plan for sending emails. And that's what we're going to look at. So let's start with the software provider. Why do you need one of those anyway? Can't you just email out from your own email address? Well, no, that's not a good idea. Firstly, there's deliverability issues. You can only send a certain number of emails at once via your own email. That's to stop people spamming. Secondly, it makes it hard, nearly impossible to manage your list. You'll get loads of bounces and you'll get unsubscribes and they'll all come into your email and then you'll have to go to your database and find a way of getting rid of them. Thirdly, your email address that you send all your important business emails from, could be marked as a spammer, which means your regular emails won't be reaching people. Fourthly, there's no measurement. You can't see if your emails are working. You can't see if people are opening them. Can't see if people are clicking. So you're going to need that email marketing software. If you're starting out and you're on a low budget, MailChimp is a good starting point because you get a certain number of email addresses for free and it's reasonably user-friendly. I'm still using MailChimp. But there's lots of other services available. I know Constant Contact, Aweber, they're popular. And most of the service providers will offer you a 30-day trial. So you might want to do a bit of a test on them all and just choose the one that's the best fit for your business. And once you've chosen it all, your next task is to get people to subscribe to your list. It is really tempting just to add all your friends and all your contacts onto that list and start sending them out your updates. But don't. That's spam. If people start marking your emails as spam, you'll find you have problems delivering your emails in the future. And you could even get banned from using your email marketing tool. Not good. Instead, you need to think about building a relevant list of the people who really want to get your updates. You want people to get your email and go, oh, good, look, there's the email from that blogger that I really like. That's the goal. Remember the visitors I talked about at the beginning? They found your site. They loved your site. They wanted to come back. You need to make it obvious to those people how they can subscribe. The simplest thing to do is to add a subscribe form to your website. And most of those email providers I mentioned, they'll have like a little bit of code that you get and you put on your website somewhere. You can add it to your sidebar. You could create a landing page for your subscribers. And on that, you could describe maybe the benefits of subscribing to your list. And you could have some archives of previous newsletters to persuade them it's a good idea. And you could link to it from your blog posts, a call to action in your blog posts. Or you could go the pop-up window route. Or you could include all three. The key is to make it easy for your visitors to see how they can subscribe. Don't hide your form in the footer of your site. I see that all the time. I doubt people get many subscribes that way. Make it obvious and give people a reason to subscribe. Will subscribing help them keep up to date with the latest industry news? Will it help them build a better business blog? Tell people what they'll get, what's in it for them if they subscribe to your email list. You're listening to Blog Centric from Spiderworking. Just adding a form to your site should result in a trickle of subscribers. In fact, I always know when my blog is doing well, maybe it got a shout out somewhere, because I'll see an immediate increase in subscribers per day. But not all of the traffic that comes to your blog is relevant. Some of my most popular posts have a broad appeal beyond my target market and my current strategies. So it's great they're signing up to receive updates, but they're not the people I really want on my list. I want my ideal customers, my ideal readers. I want the people who are going to end up buying from me or sharing my stuff more. So is there a way that you can encourage more of those kind of subscribers? Yes, there is. You can offer a lead incentive, which is often called a lead magnet. I hate the term lead magnet. I use it, but it's called that for a reason. It's something that is very, very enticing, that magnetizes people to sign up for your mailing list. And you should design that with your ideal customer reader persona in mind. A lead incentive could be an ebook, it could be a voucher, it could be a free consultation, it could be a cheat sheet, a checklist. The list goes on. It's something that is appealing enough to get your ideal reader to hand over their email. And when you create something that appeals to your ideal reader or customer, it should be your ideal customer or reader that subscribes. And you don't need to stop at one lead incentive. You could create a series of them designed for each kind of reader. And you can add a call to action to them within your blog posts that will attract that specific type of reader. So I might have a different call to action for you guys that visit the blog-centric podcast pages to those who visit my Facebook marketing pages, for example. You could even trigger pop-ups that appear on specific posts, pages, or categories on your site. Now, I know some of you have been cringing every single time I mention pop-up. They're annoying and nasty, right? I think we could do a whole episode on pop-ups. I resisted them for years, but finally, after looking at the stats and the data and all the information that told me I was going to get loads more subscribers, I added one to my site. And it's working. I'm using a free pop-up WordPress plugin called Rapidology. And that means that you'll only see the pop-up when you're about to leave the site. It's working. I'm getting subscribers. It's not all bad. However, before you enable a pop-up on your site, be aware that if you have one that displays on mobile, Google could penalise your site in mobile search results. Most software that allows pop-ups will allow you to check a box that means it doesn't appear on mobile. But you still want to get subscribers on mobile, so you could look at a tool like Hello Bar, which doesn't obscure the screen, but it would be a call to action at the top of the mobile version of your site. Right, so if you've created a good lead incentive or a series of them, you should promote them on social media. You can pin them to the top of your Facebook and Twitter pages. You can tweet about it regularly. You might put the link in your Instagram account, in your LinkedIn. You can leave a link to it in your email signature. I find that gets me lots of new subscribers. Or you could even think about using some advertising. I found that using Facebook lead gen ads are the best value for money for getting emails from Facebook ads. You know, when you click a link on Facebook and the page takes ages to load. In fact, it takes so long to load, and it's nothing to do with the website, it's to do with Facebook's browser. It takes so long to load that often you'll abandon the whole thing. Well, that means if you're sending people to your website to subscribe, you could lose them because of that friction. Lead gen ads address that friction. They take it away because a lead gen ad stays on Facebook. People click the ad and they fill in their email address and what other information you're looking for them directly from Facebook. The downside is that when they do that, it's not automated, so that sends you over to an email list. You actually have to manually download the people who sign up via your lead gen ads. Although there are tools, I've just started using one called LeadsBridge that actually integrates with Facebook and MailChimp to send those emails over. We've talked about online ways to capture emails, but there's lots of ways you can encourage subscribers offline. Every time I go to Wagamama, I see a big bowl on the counter. And you can put your email address or your business card into that bowl to get special offer updates. Special offers, that sounds good, right? So they have my email address. And there's a hotel just in a local town that has a bowl. And this time, if I put my email address and my business card in there, I go into a draw to win a dinner for two. So they have my email address as well. But be aware, people aren't stupid. We know, right, that our email address is currency. We know that they want it. And if they want it, they're going to have to offer us something good in return. There's a large European chain of shops that offer shoppers the chance to get their receipt by email. It's confusing. I'll be standing at the till, paper receipt in my hand, wondering why they need my email address to email it to me as well. It doesn't make sense. They do not have my email address. I always politely turn down the offer. You're listening to Blog Centric from Spiderworking. So far, you've chosen email software and you've come up with a strategy for getting subscribers. But what should you send them? I went to the HubSpot Inbound conference in 2015, and one of the speakers pointed out that on average, 67% of people who subscribe to your email will open the first email they get from you. Guess how many open the second? 27%. Just 27%. So that means your first email has to be really, really good. How can you ensure that? You can send a welcome email. So this is like an automated email that you set up within your email provider that gets sent to subscribers as soon as they sign up. So for me, I've tried to make mine as personal as possible because that's the point of my brand. It's a personal brand. I want you to know that you're talking to me, a real person, not a brand or a corporate machine. In that email, I tell people a little bit about myself, what they can expect now they've signed up, and I ask them to respond, to tell me a bit about themselves and their business. And this approach can work really well for small businesses. Remember, we want to build trust and relationships, and that's exactly what this sort of email will. And you can go further through this process by setting up a whole email responder sequence that will slowly involve email respondents in your brand. I'm going to get a link to a podcast that Darren Rose did on that topic, and I'll share it in the show notes. I always say his name wrong. I don't know how to say his name properly. Pro blogger. But what about your blog updates? We've sent the welcome email. That's not helping you get repeat readers. One of the blogs I subscribe to is Mark Schaefer's blog. And each time he writes a new post or there's a new post on his site, I get an email that is the full post. The full post is within that email. And I find myself reading that email within my email provider. Then if it's a good one, and most of them are good ones, I tend to share that out on my social media afterwards. Mark's blog is pretty much the only one I read regularly as a result of getting emails. And I do subscribe to it by RSS as well, but I tend to read the emails first. This approach totally works for him, but it has a few drawbacks for us as smaller business bloggers who don't have a size of the audience that Mark would. We need people to come to our website so we can track them, segment them, sell to them. If our readers are reading our full posts in our emails, we could be missing on a data capturing opportunity from when they come to your site. So most business bloggers will share a taster of their article in their email with a click through to where you can read more. If you're blogging once a week or once a month, sending out an email each time you blog could be a great way to keep readers coming back. But what if we blog more frequently? Like Mark. We need to make sure that we're not overwhelming our audience with content. Just because 3 emails a week works for Mark, it might not work as well for our readers. So what's the alternative? I used to send my blog posts out automatically as I posted them, but this meant some weeks people would get 3 emails, some weeks people would get 1. That wasn't consistent. I was getting a lot of unsubscribes. So I switched, and now I send a digest email with a personal introduction every week. And in it, I include not just my latest blog post, but I also put links to my Facebook Live and other content I've written maybe on other sites or maybe something I posted on Instagram. And since I've started using this approach, I'm getting a lot more click-throughs and a lot more opens of my email. On top of your blog post emails, particularly if you're a business, you'll want to send out newsletters and sales emails. It's a good idea to put together a schedule so you know when those emails are going to be going out. Put together a plan. And the sales emails are important. Remember, we're in business. We do need to sell what we're doing. All this might sound like a lot of work, but you can't rely on people finding your latest post on social media. One word: algorithms. You're going to need to make it easy for them to read your latest blog posts and keep them coming back, and email is a great way to do that. Additionally, you can use email in the same way that you use your social channels to build relationships. I like nothing more than chatting to subscribers who reply to my newsletters, my blog digests, or my welcome emails. The more that people come back to my site and communicate with me, the more they're going to trust me. And it's when they trust that they buy. You're listening to Blog Centric from Spiderworking. Your challenge this week is to get going with your email marketing. Choose an email software provider. If you want to set it up in a hurry, you can try MailChimp. It's free for the first few subscribers. Then you need to devise a plan for getting people to subscribe to your blog. So that could be, like I said, it could be a form on your sidebar. It could be a specific page you have. It could be a lead incentive. And then make an email marketing plan for sending out your blog updates, your newsletters, your sales emails. Oh, and you could always sign up to my newsletter and blog updates. You'll find a pop-up window on my site. Well, that's all from me for this week. Before you go, just a reminder, and I'm talking to you. Yes, you. You know you've been meaning to do it for ages. Please go to iTunes and give me a review. Because when you do that, and when people land on my podcast and they see all those reviews, they know it's well worth subscribing. And the more subscribers I get, the more I want to keep podcasting. Until next week, happy blogging. Blog Centric from Spiderworking is sponsored by We Teach Social, social media e-learning courses for small business. Find out more at weteachsocial.com.